You're listening to the Synergy Leadership Podcast, a discussion with engaging, empowering, and enlightening leaders about the greatest competitive advantage in business and entrepreneurship that often goes unrecognized: a team's energy. Here's your host, the woman who puts the energy in synergy, Karen R. Jenkins.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Synergy Leadership Podcast. I am so excited to have a trailblazer joining us today. Naida Rutherford is blazing trails in the public service arena, and I don't want to belabor this because she has a lot of information to unpack for us. So welcome, Naida, and thank you for being here with us. Can you introduce yourself to our audience and tell them, how did you get here? Kind of what is your background?
Good morning, good afternoon, good night to everybody who may be listening, whatever time of day. I am Naida Rutherford. I am your Richland County Coroner, and I come from the healthcare field with a treasure trove of experience from ER nursing, collecting rape kits, legal nurse consulting, wounds and ostomies, and over 15 years of experience in those areas. So I come with all of this medical knowledge into the role of public service as the Richland County Coroner. And I'm the first medical professional to ever hold a seat in Richland County in the almost 200-year history of the office.
Wow. First, right? So two firsts. First African-American female to hold a post, and first coroner to have a medical degree, which is bewildering to me that you wouldn't have one, but okay. Thank you for all you do. Naida, I watched you from afar and then had the blessing to meet you and watch you and hear your story. People don't understand that your beginnings don't necessarily define where you are right now. And you have overcome so many challenges and obstacles in your life to reach this. I don't even want to call it the pinnacle because there's so much more for you. I see it. There's so much more for you. But tell our audience a little bit about your background from whence you came to get to this point.
So I like to tell people my story in as few words as possible because sometimes the nitty-gritty details, aren't necessary. I think the highlights speak for themselves. So I was a ward of the state. I was a foster kid. I was homeless 2 days after graduating from high school. I won a full scholarship to go to college. And for a student like me who made D's and F's in high school, to have 4 college degrees and letters behind my name is just truly astounding. From there, I ran for office and I won. I beat a 20-year incumbent. And you don't think that students or people like me who come from the areas where I come from could ever be sitting in a position like this, but I'm living proof that you can.
That is a phenomenal story, and I just get chills every time I hear it because I see so many other people that are out in the world and they're struggling, and you are epitome of your circumstances don't define you. That whatever it is that you want to do, as long as you have the tenacity and the wherewithal and the stick-to-itness to make it happen, you do it. I've watched you as well bring something new to the coroner's office. I didn't know the coroner. I might have seen the coroner on the news every now and again, but you are actually engaging the community. You are spending time doing things other than coroning, is what I'll call it. So share with my audience a little bit about what is your motivation around sharing more about the coroner's office and what it is and bringing it and opening it up to the community.
Well, I think you said it best, Karen. No one knew who the coroner was. And this isn't about popularity or trying to get follows and likes. This is about educating our community on the elected official that they voted to put into office. You should know who your coroner is. That death certificate is not just a piece of paper. It's a lifeline for some people. It's how they get their life insurance, how VA widows receive their death benefits. It's how people can progress in life. It explains the cause and the manner of death. What if you or a family member dies and you had a genetic condition that no one knew about? That death certificate can tell you, hey, this person died at 35 years old from this very rare heart condition. Let's make sure that we have your siblings and other family members checked. So this isn't just a piece of paper, and the office of the coroner should be transparent. We are deciding the cause and the manner of death for members of our community. So not only should you have an inside look into this public office, it should reflect the people that it serves. We try to have a very diverse staff. It should meet people where they are, because that's where the deaths are happening. They're not happening in our office, they're happening out in the community. So if we can target the 29203 zip code and say, hey, there is a large number of cardiovascular and diabetes related deaths in this community, then the coroner's office, who receives that raw data, should be able to go out into that community and provide education like we do with our Ask a Doctor series, where we bring a doctorally prepared healthcare provider into the community, to their community meeting. They don't have to go anywhere. They don't have to try to meet up at some central location. We go meet the people where they are and provide them with this information. We've done 4 Ask a Doctor talks, and every single time we do one, we receive more engagement and more support, because no one has ever done it like this. Yeah, we see all the billboards and the signs about diabetes awareness. We don't need more awareness. We already know that it exists in our communities. Tell us how to solve the problem. And the only way to do that is to meet people where they are, speak in a language that they understand without all of the medical jargon and the things that sound confusing, and show me the why. Show me how, so that I can have better health for myself and for my family.
And I want to thank you, Naida, for doing that. I'm a product of 29203. I grew up in 29203. And I know that there are things that are lifestyle related, decision related, that could have been prevented. And you're bringing that home, because you're talking about the people that we have lost, unfortunately, but you're talking to people that haven't gone anywhere yet, saying, hey, look, read the tea leaves, right? Read the signs. Here's what you need to know. This is what you need to do to make sure that you don't become a statistic, as some of the unfortunate people in our community have done. I also share an experience that I had with you at an event with the state chamber, where you were talking to a technical college about bringing the coroner information into the schools to let kids know, to let our young people know that there are other things that are in this field that they can go after. Share a little bit about that journey.
So our Ask a Doctor program is the first of its kind in the state. We like to make history over here in Richland County, but we also have another historical program that is called our Coroner Cadet program. This will be the 4th year for it. I started it when I came into office, and I can't believe how much it has grown. But it is a STEM-driven educational program that brings non-traditional careers to students who are in grades 9 through 12. And it shows them all of the facets that make up being a coroner, but to work in the field of death investigation in an age-appropriate way. They learn about the human body through anatomy and physiology courses. They learn how to determine cause and manner of death using our very hands-on and immersive body farm experience, where we take whole chickens, and the students get pretty creative with how the cause and the manner of death occur. Sounds gross to a lot of people, but it really is so helpful to have that hands-on return demonstration for the application and for the principles that they're learning in class. Some of their didactic portion includes crime scene investigation 101, learning the rules of the beginning parts of crime scene and the entry level work that has to happen there. So it's one of the passion projects that I've had since I've come into office, because I wanted to be the change that I wanted to see in the world. I wanted to create programs like the Coroner Cadet program to show community, to show students that you don't have to make it out just through athletics or just through the entertainment industry. I think it's so sad to me when I see all these sports programs going into the community, but they don't offer STEM education in that same community. I think there should be a balance, and it speaks to how people view you, how people view your community. Is it just that you're there for entertainment, or can you also use your brain to get out? And this is no knock to the people who provide those, entertainment and sports programs, but I think we have to also work just as diligently to bring STEM-focused education to those communities as well.
That is so awesome. And thank you for doing that and exposing our kids to something other than that entertainment world, because everybody won't qualify for it. There are only a certain number of spots that you can go through. So what happens to those kids that don't have those opportunities? So you're opening up a whole list of things for them to be exposed to, consider, to actually have another avenue of a major, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or some type of education. So thank you for that. So you have been an outstanding leader in our community. So tell us a little bit about your specific leadership style and walk us through a day in the life of Naida Rutherford as you leading your organization.
So my leadership is based on being the change that I want to see in the world. I've worked with and under great leaders, and I've worked under not so great leaders. But from each of those experiences, I've learned how to become the best leader that I can be. And I'm always looking to grow and learn. I don't know everything. And I think that's probably the cornerstone for my leadership style. I don't know everything. And I have weaknesses in some areas, but I'm going to hire people who have those strengths so that we work together to create the best environment. And right now I have the most amazing team. I have the person who's great at micromanaging the products because that's not my style. I'm not a micromanager. I believe in autonomy. I believe in free thinking. I believe in critical thinking. I believe that your teammates should be able to come to you with an idea and you trial it. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But we have measures in place so that they feel comfortable sharing their ideas. I'm really big on work-life balance within our office. We give people the worst news of their lives every single day. There are dads that don't make it home to be able to see their son play in the soccer game because maybe they were involved in a traumatic car accident. There are moms that never make it home because maybe they went to have a baby and they died during childbirth. And so I know that life is short and death is random. So the prioritization on my staff's mental health is very important to me. They can always take time off to go to the kids' soccer game, to go to the play, to go be with their wife if they just had a baby. And we don't penalize them for that. We tell them, hey, you know, you have this coming up, save your PTO, do what you need to do. And our teammates are even willing to donate their PTO so that people can have time off. We allow mental health days. So even if it's on the day that they're scheduled to come in and they're not feeling up to it, then they are allowed to say, hey, I need a mental health day. We don't ever have to know why. We don't get into their business in that way. It could just be that they need a day of rest. Again, what we do is so hard and heavy every single day. So if a staff member comes and they say, hey, coroner, I need the day off, I say, I hope that you find the rest that you need today or handle the things that you need to handle, and we'll make sure to log this. So the freedom that they have to live their lives and to be able to take a mental health day, we actually have more productivity. We have people who come in even on their days off to help with paperwork and administrative tasks and to help their teammates out. They all get this like list of calls that are coming out. If they notice, like we have 3 deputies on at any given time. And if we get 5 death calls in an hour, those other teammates, without us even having to call them, will step in. And so when you have that kind of camaraderie and rapport with the office, it makes my heart smile because I know that I must be doing something right. They appreciate that I don't have my thumb on them at all times. They love to have the autonomy. And you can't come into this job and not be ready. So if they need time off, we take time off. Your teammates will cover you, and they are so good about covering each other. And we're so good as the managers and supervisors overseeing the work that they do that we support them as well. And I tell them every single day, you do not work for me. You work for the families of Richland County. And I think once they really saw that I meant that, I work for the families, which means you all work for the families, and we work together to serve the families. This isn't a dictatorship. This isn't, I won't even call it a democracy. This is a place where we serve the families. And so if, you know, we have a veteran liaison, his name is Sean Sears. He's a veteran himself. And he says, coroner, I think we need to have a designated person who can help the veterans and their families. Well, Sean, would you like to take this on? Oh, ma'am, I would be so honored. And now we have a veteran liaison. I think stuff like that just lets you know that you're doing something right. But if I had to break it down into like the shortest way possible, I would say we prioritize mental health. We give people the time that they need off, and we support our staff. And those things matter the most. So that's my leadership style. I get that it doesn't work for everybody, and it doesn't work in every setting, but in every way that we can support them to be their whole best self, then we do that.
That is phenomenal. And we don't see a lot of that. I wish we did, but you're setting an example and you're displaying how effective that strategy of leadership can be effective by increasing productivity without having what I call the militaristic level of management strategy that we grew up in, that most of us grew up in. So this is called a Synergy Leadership Podcast. So by definition, synergy leadership is the ability to leverage a team's energy to create results, to adapt to change and make a difference. And you just defined, in my mind, what that looks like in action. What do you think, in addition to that, is part of your organization's success right now?
I think the biggest success that we've had at the coroner's office is just taking care of our people. It isn't about the accolades we've received, the national recognition we've received. I mean, you have Richland County Coroner's Office being featured in USA Today, like mind blowing, right? But none of that means anything if our people aren't taken care of. So I think the biggest success that I've had in office is really centered around taking care of our people. When I came into office, Karen, they didn't receive overtime pay. They didn't receive holiday pay. If they worked 16 hours on a case, they received the same pay. I mean, it was nuts. I could not believe that this had not been set up prior to my administration. And so for 11 months, I worked with the HR department at the county. I worked with the county administrator. I fought. I looked up federal labor laws. I, sought the advice of attorneys. And I was willing to even boycott if that's what it took to get our people paid. So to me, showing them that I'm willing to fight for them on all the sides really helps to create that synergistic environment. It helps to show them not only will she fight for us to have the tools and the resources that we need to do our job, but she's willing to take care of us. Because I don't care how much you love a job, pay comes as a major factor when people are looking to leave or whether they're looking to stay. And I wanted to show our team that I was willing to fight for them. They are now the highest paid that they've ever been in Richland County Coroner's Office history. And it's worth it. Like, we're not just pushing for them to get paid more money, but it is in alignment with the other offices in the state. So why can't we have these things for our people? So now if they work a 18-hour shift, because sometimes that's just what the job is, they know that they're going to receive the pay for that. They don't milk the clock and try to, put in hours that don't belong to them. They do their job, and it's beautiful to see. So I think that's probably my biggest success with being in office.
And, walking the walk, talking the talk, walking the walk. Maya Angelou said, I don't care, or people don't care how much you know. They only care how you make them feel. Yep. And you have done that with your team, which is why the level of respect, the camaraderie, the synergies that you guys have created is seen on a day-to-day basis. And it's wonderful to watch. And I look back at, many people draw strengths from you as they utilize your social media platforms. When you speak, when you engage, you always motivate. You're always uplifting and inspiring others through basically your unabashed transparency. You're very open. So what drew you to start sharing your story to help others, especially in this capacity?
So I'll tell you this, I've received criticism for sharing my story because people think that it's a way to gain sympathy. Like when I shared about the fact that I had to have a double mastectomy while in office, or the fact that I've been a foster kid, or that I've been homeless, or that I've been poor. And what people don't understand is that God gives you a testimony, not for your own personal use, but to share with others. And, I'm not sure how people will receive that information. I mean, if you don't believe in a higher power, more power to you, and you have the right, and that's your prerogative. But for me, I know that I would not be sitting where I am without the power of God, without him putting his hands on me and saying, this is where I intend for you to go, and I need you to act accordingly. And so my story, I think it's very selfish of me not to share my story. People see this, person in front of them who's asking them to believe in themselves, who's asking them to do more with their life. Well, where do you get the right to tell me to do that? Well, let me show you why. I've been where you are. I know what it's like to have to walk 6 miles to go to a job because you don't have a car. I know what it's like to have to do things that you maybe aren't proud of to get to where you are. You don't have to look like what you've been through, but your story is going to help somebody else. And your story isn't for everybody. I have chosen to share my story because I understand my story and I know the parts that I think will resonate with people. There are so many struggles that come with being a foster kid, that comes with not having a family, that spill over even into my very adult life. I'm over 40 and I still have to deal with the fact that I don't have a family, because who do I call when I need something? Who do I lean on when I need a shoulder to cry on? And so I believe in having Jesus and a therapist. Okay. And so I have had to lean on my story and the resilience and the skill set that I've learned from adversity to help guide me through my life. And I think that people who don't utilize their adversity to see their strengths, they're doing themselves a disservice. When you are going through a struggle, you have to figure out the solution. And at some point, you have to think critically to get out of it. So already you've developed your critical thinking skills. When you are down, let's say you've got a diagnosis and you're sick and you're bedridden, but now you can get up and walk. Now you understand the power that you have to be able to step into something that's hard, because you know hard things are temporary. You have the ability to step into your greatness because you know what it's like to be so weak. So I think it's selfish of me not to share my story. And I have this platform. What am I utilizing it for? I've got everything on my page, from hair videos to how to, establish a will for yourself and how to prepare for the unexpected in death. All of those things are who I am. And all of the criticism that I receive, there's a book called The 48 Laws of Power. At least I got them talking, and I'm going to keep having them talking.
Wow. So what I'll say to that is, there's always going to be a naysayer, right? But your message isn't for that naysayer. Your message is for the thousands, and I mean thousands, the thousands of people that are quiet that you have touched. Everybody that you have touched is not going to call you and go, oh, thank you, Nadia, your story resonated with me. But I can tell you in the streets, people are talking about it in a positive way. They're talking about what you bring to the table. They're talking about how your story has inspired them. And yes, you're going to have some people that say, oh, that was great and I appreciate it. But you're going to have thousands that never say a word, but their decisions and their choices and the things that they do for themselves and their family are changed in a positive way because of what you do. I read a book called The Obstacle is the Way. I think the author's name was Ryan Holiday. And he talks about how when you have those obstacles, they are leading you someplace else. You don't have to stay there, right? You're going this journey. You're not going to stop at that challenge. You're going to go through that challenge and you're going to learn something from that experience, and it's preparing you for your greatness. And I truly believe in God and all that He has blessed me with. I am here today because I was guided, right? It had nothing to do with me. You're first African-American coroner. I'm the first African-American female to chair the Columbia Chamber of Commerce. That was God. That was not me. I didn't ask for it. I just kind of followed the lead. Years ago, I had the opportunity to go on WIS with Judy Gatson and do a weekly segment called Women, Wisdom, and Wealth. I did not ask for that. It kind of just happened. But again, it didn't just happen. That was God. So I want to ask you just to stay strong, that we're continuing to pray for you and to continue to do what you're doing. And you say, I don't have family. Family ain't always blood.
That's true. I've got a great support system.
my point, you do have a great support system, and those people will be there for you, and you are there for them. So keep on doing what you're doing. One of the things I want to make sure we touch on is the fact that you are an entrepreneur. That you, although you came from nursing and you got all of these ABCs behind your name, people may not know that long before you became the coroner, that you took the path of entrepreneurship. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I'll tell you this, entrepreneurship taught me a lot about being a leader and where I was lacking and where I was strong, but mostly where I was lacking in leadership. The entrepreneurial journey is difficult. You have to be a little, how do the young kids say, delusional to start an entrepreneurial journey, because you have to see a vision that no one else sees. And I started by selling secondhand clothing, and I had a thrift boutique, and I wanted to be able to show women how to style themselves without having to spend lots of money, that you could try different things out without having to commit to a $139 dress when you could get it for $10 at my store. And so I started there. And it taught me organization. It taught me where I lacked organization. I learned how to delegate because I was not so great at that at first. And I'm so glad that I had the experience of being an entrepreneur in that way, because it taught me so many things that I now use in my coroner leadership about delegation and communication, effective communication, closing the circle of communication, and making sure that not only do you know what's happening, but that your teammates know what's happening. And I always say the best success that you can find with any business or leadership role is how well does it function when you're not there. And my office, I can step out into the community more because my team knows what they're supposed to be doing. And with my store, I remember feeling very frustrated and overwhelmed a lot of days because I wasn't exactly clear on what it was that I needed and wanted from my staff. And I would have meetings with them and things would go great for a little while. And then it's like I couldn't step away from it. So I ended up having to close the business only because I really wanted to focus on my work as the coroner. And there's a saying that says you can't serve two masters. And so I chose the master that I wanted to serve in that way, which was the citizens of Richland County. But I enjoyed having the store. I miss it, so much sometimes. But I wrote a book, about how to end fitting room frustration. So you can find it on Amazon for those people that still need a little bit of guidance. It still holds true today. You can still buy it on Amazon, which I think is really funny because people will sometimes Google me and they say, "Did you write a book about fashion?" I did. So it's just one of many things that I've had the opportunity to do. I still love fashion. I still help all of my friends, that. But it taught me how to communicate effectively, how to delegate appropriately, and how to be clear on the vision and the steps that I want my team to take so that we can all be successful. So I still own quite a few businesses, but they're all related to, speaking and consulting things. So it's nice to have the hard lessons that you learn from entrepreneurship to drive you forward.
Well, I'm going to plug the next book that I know is in there that hasn't really been totally produced yet.
Yes.
We'll definitely check out the fitting room frustrations, but I know, as you and I have shared, you have so much knowledge, so much inspiration, and just experiences that the world needs to hear, that I'm going to continue to have this conversation with you about birthing that next book. So we'll continue. And then when it's out, we'll bring you back again and talk the 10 pillars of the book, whatever that might be. Really excited about that because I know it's coming at some point. So can you tell us, out of everything that you've experienced on your leadership journey, what are you most proud of?
I'm most proud that I am able to see in others what other people may not have seen. I have this gift. I like to call it a gift, a light, like a magnetism of some sort that draws people in. And I can see them in a different way. So they may have been at a job where they were not doing so great, and they come to our office and they're working, and they come to me and say, "I'm so happy to come to work with you every day because I feel like you believe in me." And I think that I have this, the only thing I can call it is a gift, to be able to allow people to be their whole selves, and they don't have to hide who they are, but we can still pull those good leadership qualities out of them. And if you were to look at our staff and interview every single one of them, they are so different. I mean, they are completely different individuals. And I think that that's a gift, to be able to bring people together who have really, the only commonality is they want to help people. And they may come from so many different backgrounds. We have people from the restaurant industry. We have people who used to do body transport. We have people who had no experience whatsoever. And they come to our office and they're able to grow and to learn. And I tell them, don't let this be your stopping ground, let this be a stepping stone. And when you're ready to go off and try being a director somewhere or a supervisor somewhere, you will have the experience that you need to get to that next step. So I think that's the thing I'm most proud of, is that I can see in people the potential and help to foster that potential.
Awesome. So As we bring our conversation to a close, if you could give one piece of leadership advice or just advice in general to our listeners, what would that be?
You belong here. You don't owe anyone proof of why you belong here. You have the degrees, you have the experience, you have the knowledge, you have the wherewithal, you have the mental fortitude, you have the stories of adversity of your own. And I would encourage each one of your listeners to take a picture of themselves. And on the back of that picture, write down every accomplishment that you've ever had. I don't care if it was graduating from elementary school and winning the spelling bee. I don't care if it was making it out of high school and you're the first high school graduate from your family. Maybe you went to get an associate's degree and you're the first person in your family to ever get a college education. It doesn't matter how small the win is. I want them to write it on the back of that picture, and I want them to put it in a frame and put it wherever they work the most. And I want them on the days when they feel like they don't belong, when they feel like they've got to prove themselves, that they've gotten this promotion, but they feel so overwhelmed. I want them to take a look at that list. All of those little wins added up to the big win, added up to where they are today. You don't owe anyone proof. You belong here.
Thank you so much, Naida Rutherford, Coroner Naida Rutherford, for all you do, for reminding us that we all belong here. And the other thing that I will add as a footnote, that my reason for being here and your reason for being here are different. So don't compare your reasons. Don't compare your accomplishments. Don't compare yourself. You are uniquely you. If God wanted you to be somebody else, he would have made you somebody else, but he made you you. And if you're not doing your job of being you, then who is? So, Nadia, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you taking time out of your very busy 24-hour day schedule, and we know that that's what you're running. But thank you again. I hope you'll have an opportunity to come back and visit us again. We're so appreciative of all that you shared today, and thank you for all you do for our community.
Thank you so much for having me.
And to our listeners, thank you. If you want to get in contact or follow Nadia, how would they follow you? Let's make sure we get them that information.
They can follow me at Naida Rutherford. That's NaidaRutherford. Or they can follow me on TikTok as Madam Coroner. I'm on LinkedIn as Naida Rutherford as well. So those are the platforms where I'm most active.
Thank you. And I will say you were in for a treat. I enjoyed them. They're educational, they're inspirational. And sometimes when I'm just down, I might go and look at your social media or Instagram, just because you're very entertaining, but also it is right on point with the stuff that our communities need to hear. So again, thank you. And thank you all for being here for this episode of Synergy Leadership. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Synergy Leadership Podcast with Karen R. Jenkins. If you like what you heard today, please subscribe, rate, review, and share our show. See you next time.